This is the renewal of a rivalry that dates all the way back to the Civil War. Missouri and Kansas meeting on the hardwood after a 9-year absence. Fans are ready, players are ready. Bill Self certainly ready for this one. He called the last meeting the most emotional game he'd ever coached in. We welcome you courtside. Tom Hart alongside Chris Patola. Chris, you played in Army-Navy. You coached in Duke, Carolina, but this one, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, there's a rawness about this rivalry that the other two don't have. I mean, this rivalry is literally forged in blood. It runs deep. This is a rivalry that college basketball needs. Watch this atmosphere today. We need this in this sport.
Oh, it is great to have it back. These two neighbors going head-to-head on the hardwood in this series. It started in 1907. It's only about a 2.5-hour drive down I-70 if you drive as fast as Chris Patola does between Columbia, Missouri and Lawrence, Kansas. Originally conference rivals in the Missouri Valley, then the Big 6, the Big 7, the Big 8, the Big 12, until Missouri left for the SEC. This rivalry is one of pure hatred. They can't even agree on how many games they played. Missouri won that first game. They won the first two, beating a guy by the name of James Naismith, 0-2 all time against the Tigers. Kansas fans have said we didn't miss this, but their actions would say differently today. Let's take you back to the last meeting, 2012, after Missouri had announced that they're leaving for the SEC. Tigers had a comeback win at home at Mizzou Arena, and then Kansas erased a 19-point deficit in the second half to hold off Mizzou. The Tigers would get the last laugh, winning the SEC tournament. Tim English left Kansas City with an SEC shirt on, and the Tigers and Jayhawks haven't seen each other aside from one exhibition since. Yeah, I'd say this game matters. And on the hardwood, this is an elite Kansas team, 7-1 on the season. They are 22-point favorites today against a Missouri team who will have to do some heavy climbing to stay with these Jayhawks. It's been a 1-2 punch for Bill Self's team. Christian Brown and Ochai Agbaji have carried the squad so far this season.
Yeah, Agbaji, there has been no more consistent player from day one in this college basketball season than Ochai Agbaji. And then over the last 5 games, he's got a running mate in Christian Brown. Christian Brown shooting 62% from the field on the year. That 1-2 punch has taken this Kansas offense to another level.
The crowd has taken it to another level already. Sit back, enjoy a rivalry renewed. It is hot, it is loud, it is cramped, it is perfect. Missouri controls the tip. Dejuan Gordon has played in this rivalry for Kansas State. Let's take a look at today's starting lineups, brought to you by Cade Jewelers. Missouri led by Kobe Brown. The illegal screen on Missouri's big, Jordan Wilmore. Here's a look at the starting 5 for Kansas. Brown and Agbaji, the leaders lately, but Chris, you get the feeling that there's more to this Kansas team. They're far from reaching their potential.
No, this is, when they are clicking at their best, this is the most explosive offense in America. And it starts with them turning defense into offense. If you're Missouri, you've got to make them work in a half court. Taking good shots, not turning it over. You've got to keep Kansas in the half court.
Missouri is without its starting point guard, Boogie Coleman, for the 2nd straight game. And so they'll have some youth on the floor in what is essentially a brand new roster for Cuonzo Martin, with a host of transfers this season. An air ball from Amari Davis, transferred in from Green Bay. Here's Brown, family ties to Mizzou. We'll document those later. He feeds it inside. McCormick working on the 7-footer. Brown, count it.
You cannot leave Christian Brown.
36% from three, 51 points over his last 2 games. Gordon blocked at the rim. McCormick, first 5 minutes critical. Missouri wants to hang in. Abaji for 3. 6-0 KU. Missouri hosts the 3, and Javon Pickett gets it to go. One of 2 returning starters alongside Kobe Brown.
No, they have not shot the ball well. One of the worst in the country. As a team, have not shot it well from 3. They're going to have to make some here today. And he's one of those guys who could potentially get it going.
Brown working on Pickett. Here's Remy Martin, preseason Big 12 Player of the Year. Nice feed to McCormick, but it's lost, and Amari Davis comes out of there with it. Davis with the crossover, and right into McCormick, and each big has a foul. Rivalries are nothing new to Cuonzo Martin. Played for Gene Cady at Purdue. Cady had a winning record against Bob Knight in the Purdue-Indiana rivalry. 5th season as Mizzou's head coach, and Hall of Famer Bill Self on the other side. 6th most wins among active Division I coaches. Anton Brookshire is a true freshman point guard. And he gets his shot rejected. 2nd block for KU. Brown up the sideline. And 1. His mom, Lisa Sambodi, was an all-Big 8 player at Missouri. His dad was a walk-on here at Kansas, and his brother a former Mizzou player. And Brown has 5 early and a chance for 6.
He has such a knack for finishing at the rim. You know, mentioned his field goal percentage, shooting 62% from the field. He's shooting 72% from 2-point field goal range. And it's mostly dunks and layups and then wide open threes. He's got a real good knack. And Tom, that's where Kansas decimates their opponents. You know, you get a bad shot on one end. They are so explosive, turning that in the other direction.
They're 3rd in the nation in offensive efficiency. They're 6th in the country in effective field goal percentage. Kobe Brown is Missouri's leading scorer. He hasn't touched the ball as a scoring threat yet. Here's Brown on the post. Left the ball behind. Brown running the floor. Got it. He's got 8 of KU's 11. Jayhawks lead by 8. Ronnie DeGray for 3. And Kobe Brown fights over Remy Martin to put it back up.
He's been one bright spot for this team. He's done everything. He's a double-double guy, shooting a pretty good percentage. He's been the most consistent, most reliable player for Missouri in the early part of this year.
15 points a game, 2nd in the SEC in rebounds. What a feed! And McCormick with a slam. Christian Brown has his fingerprints all over this KU start. Where does Missouri need to look on the offensive end?
Well, first of all, they got to settle down. Like, they just have to take a deep breath and make Kansas work.
Pickett Off the window.
The defense will break down. I mean, this is a good Kansas defense, but it does break down at the end of shot clocks.
Kobe Brown tied him up. It will be Kansas basketball. Christian Brown all over this game early.
He is, man. You think this guy was dying to play in this rivalry. What can Brown do for you? How about throwing you a lob pass? Dunk it on your head. What an atmosphere. Kansas, Missouri. College basketball needs this, man.
We'll tell you about the Brown family. The Sambodis in the Mizzou. Chick-fil-A to the students who've been camping out for the last handful of days, and indeed has a Mizzou connection. His dad, Donnie, was a walk-on here. You probably know that. His mom, Lisa, fantastic player at the Mizzou from 87 to 91. His brother, Parker, 2 seasons for Conzo, now at Santa Clara. Uncle Mike, great role player for Norm Stewart in the late 80s. His aunt played at Missouri. His mom famously wanting him to go to Missouri would slip Mizzou t-shirts into the top drawer of his dresser. We talked about it before the game today. He said, it's not that I didn't like them, I burned them. Remy Martin with a head fake and into the corner. And there's a Columbia native, DeJuan Harris, who played high school ball 4 miles away from Mizzou's campus, and he makes his first attempt.
You know, they get into their penetrate and kick game, and that's where you get open shooters, because every guy putting it on the floor is a threat to score at the rim. Sucks in the defense, you get open shooters, especially in those corners.
A step on the end line for Amari Davis. Kansas, to your point, perfect 3 for 3 from deep.
You know, the thing with Christian Brown, you know, first 4 games of the season, he took 30 shots in those 4 games, Tom. In the last 4 games, he's taken 56 shots. He's been much more aggressive, and you talk to Bill Self, he wants him to be more aggressive, to stop turning down some of the shots he has been. The light has really gone on for that kid.
Great story in the Kansas City Star this week that detailed his ability to get to the basket. Here's Harris. First miss from 3 for Kansas, and Missouri comes out of there with it. DeJuan Gordon. And Gordon gets it to go. Christian Brown is scoring nearly 2 points per possession on cuts. What makes him so hard to defend, and how does that work for KU?
Well, he's a smart basketball player, and he moves to open space. So that might be a cut to the basket. It might be a relocation.
Another 3 for Harris.
And the pass coming from Brown. He just is a smart player, and he understands that if he gives it up, he's going to get it back at some point.
Missouri 4 for 8, but 3 turnovers on the offensive end. They want to use clock, and they will. Here's Ronnie DeGray. Gordon working on Brown. Clock now at 2. Got it off, but didn't get the rim, and a shot clock violation. Conzo Martin wants to use clock. He wants to slow this game down a little bit, but Missouri on the offensive end just not getting clean looks.
Well, you can't stand until the shot clock's over. You know, there's a lot of dribbling there. I thought DeJuan Gordon probably carried it before he attacked the basket, and then you end up with, you know, not a quality shot. But at the very least, Kansas has to take the ball out of bounds here, and you get a chance to set your defense.
Jalen Wilson has entered the game for Kansas. He's one of those guys who could give KU more. Kansas 4-5 from 3. Missouri only 4 made field goals here in the first nearly 7 minutes. Harris finds Lightfoot, and he'll go to the line after the foul by DeGray.
You know, those bigs for Kansas cover so much ground. They're on the block. They're running rim to rim. They're coming out and setting ball screens. Lightfoot comes out, sets it, really just touches the guy on the ball screen and then rolls hard to the rim. Another smart basketball player, a guy who understands his role, plays off of other guys, offensive glass.
Mitch Lightfoot in his 6th year in the Kansas program. Family originally from the Kansas City area, but grew up out in Arizona. 137 career games played, only 8 career starts for Lightfoot. And he knocks them both down. Kansas out to a 21-9 lead. Davis, 1,000-point score in his college career. Here's Abaji. And Gordon with the rebound. Pickett will try to take it himself. Nice fadeaway. It's a Missouri team without a point guard, an efficient, effective point guard, and that has really slowed them down.
They got strong bodies. You know, they can carve out that space as they drive that ball to the basket. Pickett, a guy who came off their bench last year.
Touch for Lightfoot on the post. The baby hook.
Went right to work. One dribble right into it. Oh, they're two big guys for Kansas. If you have position, go score. If not, throw it out, chase it to a ball screen.
Lightfoot with the block. Go right back to DeGray. Nearly turned over. Trevor Brazil, freshman on the floor. He just returned to action. Pickett with the shot clock winding down. Brown got it. Lightfoot was waiting to get it himself. No easy looks from Missouri early, and Kansas living up to its ranking. Team having a hard time getting it to the rim, and Bill Self has his team playing efficient basketball right now with Brown and Abaji. Devin Wilson is a guy, pardon me, Jalen Wilson is a guy they really want to get going.
This guy started 26 games last year, obviously suspended to start the year. I was talking to Norm Roberts the other day about him. He just said he thinks he's pressing a little bit. You know, he's got to pick his spots to be aggressive. He's got to believe he's going to get the ball back. You know, some guys are just better starting. You know, some guys aren't good coming off the bench. And I think that may be something where I think Bill Self ultimately wants Jalen Wilson in that starting lineup, but he's got to earn it. And that's the one thing with Bill Self. He's got a lot of guys, and he's got the leverage in that situation to say, look, if you haven't earned being in that lineup and being on the floor, we're not going to put you in there.
Javon Pickett knocks down both free throws. He's got 9 on Missouri's 13, and the Tigers show a little 2-2-1. What does Conzo want to accomplish with the 2-2-1?
I like it out of the timeout. Change up the rhythm. You know, show a different look. I mean, they haven't guarded in their man-to-man half court straight up. Take some shot clock off.
Brown couldn't get it to go. Kobe Brown with the rebound for Missouri. He's as versatile as they come. And he'll take it all the way into the paint, but then walk with it. Talked to Kobe before the game today. I said, you're the leader. What have you told guys about this game and how to respond to the crowd? And he said, we can't let the crowd take us out of our game. We just got to take it play by play. Same message echoed by Conzo.
I mean, look, if a lot of these guys don't understand this rivalry.
Right.
I mean, you know, obviously it's been 9 years. So some of them don't have that context. But I think Missouri got a real feel in the first minute of this game, and I thought they just needed to take a deep breath.
Tigers have turned it over 5 times. Here's Lightfoot with a touch. Ochai Abaji is a Missouri kid out of Oak Park in Kansas City. Missouri did not recruit Abaji. And he has blown up in the last 18 months or so. Shot clock winding down again. Dejuan Gordon hits a 3. He played here for Kansas State, had 12 points, but didn't make a 3 last time he was in the Allen Fieldhouse.
And that's the offense working for Missouri. Not a one-on-one play, a good baseline drive. The ball is skipped. One more pass. You bang down an open 3.
There's an open 3 for Kansas. Ochai's got a pair of them.
That's what you cannot give Ochai Abaji, open 3s. He accumulates points when he starts making 3s. He's driving it better, but not well enough where you can't treat him like a great shooter.
Trevin Brazil hits his first attempt. He just appeared in his first game last time out for Missouri and win Tuesday against Eastern Illinois. Lightfoot fighting for the rebound, and it goes off of Missouri.
About the transfer portal, but sometimes it works. And I think Sheway needed a fresh start. obviously with Coach Cal, it's a different vibe than it was with Coach Huggy. And he's not playing with Derek Culver anymore. You know, there's a lot more space for him to operate.
McCormick forces one up. And then a reach in on Deshaun Gordon. It's his first.
That's his first personal foul. That's the 14th.
Interesting talking to Konzo after practice last night. Of all the weapons that Kansas had, he singled out David McCormick, the senior center, who's only given him 9 points a game. And he said he's a guy that we've got to be able to defend and stop because he can get our bigs in foul trouble. If he gets Kobe Brown in foul trouble, and we don't have any options on the offensive end.
I think it's one of the reasons they started Jordan Wilmore in this game, to try to match size. You know, look, it's been a good 3-game stretch for David McCormick. He is playing much better. He did not play well at times down at that ESPN Events Invitational down in Orlando, but they need him. I mean, this is what Kansas basketball does. They play through that block. They need his protection at the rim in order for them to be as aggressive as they want to be out front.
Kansas, the 8th-ranked team in the country, only loss came at the buzzer to Dayton. And it's kind of scary to think about the upside for this KU team. There is so much room for improvement on what has been a fantastic start to the season. Jayhawks converge. Pickett turns and takes it off the window.
It's where this Missouri team has kind of thrived. It doesn't always look pretty, but they got some tough dudes. They got some dudes who will do some dirty work, and a nice cleanup there to regather and score.
Abaji challenged by Brown. And Missouri already had possession before that whistle came. It's his second. Missouri's leading scorer and rebounder, Kobe Brown.
Yeah, I mean, the lower body there, I guess, hits Abaji, but you know, Abaji a little bit out of control. It's a play on to me.
Ochai Abaji's recruiting kicked in really late in his high school career. Bill Self in Kansas brought him in, and he has turned into a superstar. I asked him about Missouri recruiting him. He said, I didn't really hear from him. They already had a guy by the name of Torrance Watson signed. Torrance led the state of Missouri in scoring. A couple years under Konzo, and he's since transferred to Elon.
He's a shining example of what going through that NBA process can do if you come back. I thought he was humbled by that process this summer, but he has come back, recommitted, and what a year he's having.
Really helps to hear what your deficiencies are from somebody other than your head coach, huh?
No question.
Wilmore back in the game, 7-3, and he gets tied up as he took it low. Jalen Coleman-Lewis with a takeaway for Kansas. And Konzo just got teed up. No doubt the frustration on the late whistle the previous possession, then no whistle on the other end for Missouri, and that face says it all.
Well, he didn't like the call down on the other end on Abaji, and I don't blame him for that. And he wanted a call on Wilmore down on the other end, and I just don't see it. I mean, that's a good no call there. You probably could have called a jump ball, if anything.
Abaji misses them both. Konzo's team has gotten going on the offensive end. Tigers have made their last 3. But Kansas is sizzling 56%, including 5 of 8 from deep.
It hasn't really been Missouri's offense. It's been their ability to stop Kansas.
Remy Martin gets fouled coming off of the curl. And that's the the second on Deshaun Gordon.
That's a second personal foul. That's team foul number 7 on Missouri.
Interesting to see with Abaji on the bench now what Kansas looks like on the offensive end. They have so many weapons, so many different places to go.
After the substitution.
Well, Remy Martin's doing a little bit of a dance this year. You know, he was a guy that was allowed to do whatever he wanted at Arizona State with no accountability, really no discipline. You come here, you play for Bill Self. It's a different world. And so I think he has tried to fit in. To his credit, I think Remy Martin has tried to fit in and be the unselfish player that, you know, Bill Self is holding to account for. But, you know, 4 shots against UTEP the other day, like Remy Martin, come on, man. Like sometimes you can be unselfish to a fault, where you actually end up becoming selfish in a way. There are shots that are available that I think he's turning down, and look, it's still early. He's trying to fit in. When he gets going, that's where, again, this team takes another jump. When Jalen Wilson gets going, that's why I think the ceiling for this Kansas team, we haven't even scratched yet.
Here's Wilmore, 7'3", tallest player in Missouri history. He is a wide load. Slip, toss to the big. Nice hands by Jordan Wilmore for his first bucket.
Sure was. It was a nice roll, and it was a really good pass. Knowing you're throwing it to Wilmore, he kind of put it even higher than normal. Kept his hands up. Good grab.
And a foul on the Remy Martin drive. Will be the first down on Mari Davis.
This is a big target. 7'3", 300 pounds. Nice roll to the basket. Help was not good on the backside. Good catch with those bear claws. Nice finish. To this almost always lethal form of cancer. Our heart goes out to that family, and you know, I was talking to Jamie and Carrie, Tom, and they said, you know, look, breast cancer can obviously be fatal, but they are doing amazing things now. It doesn't have to be a life sentence. Glioblastoma usually is, and so they are trying to raise awareness to that form of cancer, and it's our fortune and honor to tell that story here today.
And it is indeed V Week at ESPN, and our partnership with the V Foundation highlights the urgent need for cancer research and the elimination of racial disparities in cancer outcomes. You can learn more and help support by visiting v.org/donate. 100% of your donation goes directly to cancer research. Before he went to break, that previous foul was on Missouri's big Wilmore. It was his second. Brown down the lane. Here's Remy Martin. The pump fake got him into the paint. Martin for 3. And now Javon Pickett on the other side from Mizzou. Nice feed, and it's blocked by Brown. Brown, open floor. Touch from McCormick. And he follows his own miss. Tigers time up. We'll get a jump ball and we'll end up in the black and gold.
It's a big time block. It's a really nice pass. And how about Christian Brown? I mean, it's both ends with this kid, man. He is so active, so engaged, so alert on every play.
8 points, 2 blocks, a pair of assists for Brown here early. But Kansas is 1 for their last 7 on the offensive end. Well, teams have made 9 field goals. The difference at the free throw line, where the Jayhawks have picked up an extra 11 points. Good hands by Abaji. Shot clock in single digits. Gordon looking for a screen. Shot clock at 2. Got to hoist it. Won't get the rim. Second shot clock violation forced by the Jayhawks.
How about David McCormick? They switched that late in the clock. McCormick ends up on Gordon, stays in front, and forces a really tough shot.
So here's Remy Martin running the point. I like what you said about the lack of accountability when he was at Arizona State, but he was really 2 different players there. When he was playing with first-round pick Lou Dort, now with Oklahoma City, he led the Pac-12 in assist rate. Here's Abaji inside. And then when Dort left, it was kind of like Hurley just gave him the keys to the car, and he didn't care if he returned it scratched.
I was talking to Remy before the game. He said, you know, I've never really been yelled at before I got here. I said, you did play for Bobby Hurley, right? Is this the same guy? He said, you know, but Coach Self has had a tone with me I've never had.
That'll be goaltending, and Pickett is leading Missouri with 13.
Said Hurley most of the time was screaming at officials.
Is that great? Self told me yesterday at practice, he said he's really good for me because the Arizona State transfer, 3-time All Pac-12 and preseason player of the year. He said he plays with a freedom that's caused me to rethink how much control I have on the game. And sometimes I say, it's okay, just run what you guys want to run. Here's Brown. You don't usually hear a Hall of Fame coach admit something like that. Gordon, offensive foul. And that is Deshaun Gordon's third.
That's a really good take. You know, I love DeJuan Harris. I really do. And a good take, I mean by on that charge. He's a really, you know, sometimes we talk about being unselfish offensively. DeJuan Harris is an unselfish defender.
Brown with the lob and defended by Ronnie DeGray.
That's that lob play Kansas loves to go to. Teams are starting to sniff it out.
Tigers down 11. Wilmore, for a 7'3" guy, he has small hands. Here's Brown running the floor. Mom and Dad love it. Mom's left the black and gold behind, at least for a day. And the Jayhawks have tied the largest lead of the afternoon. Contested three off the rim. Brown's got another board. KU to run. Here's Harris. And the Columbia, Missouri native gives Kansas its largest lead of the day.
Kansas is so explosive in the open floor. They have great lane runners. They're unselfish. They look ahead.
Gentlemen, thanks. Great day in college basketball throughout the country as it kind of takes center stage once again. And one lone Mizzou fan showing how brave he is in the midst of the Kansas student section. It's like, where's Waldo in black and gold? Ronnie DeGray, Colorado native, gets cut off. The discrepancy in this game from an offensive standpoint resides at the free throw line, and that one's blocked by Lightfoot. Jayhawks with 11 made free throws, just 2 for Missouri, and Kansas' defense has looked elite today.
They have, yeah. You know, going into that tournament down in Orlando, Bill Self was not happy with their defense. They have been much more active. You know, their guards are so quick out front. They have really good hands. And in the back end of their defense, whether it's Lightfoot, McCormick, those guys have been more active as well.
Nice move by Harris, product of Rockbridge High School in Columbia. Brown all over Pickett, got a hand in his face, and that is frustrating Javon Pickett. Pickett goes into him and rattles it home.
You know, he's the one guy who's been hyper aggressive. He's been really their only offense, and he's had to do a lot of it himself. I mean, that started 30 feet out.
Harris got off balance. Brookshaw comes out of there with it. The transition defense by Kansas. Pickett again. Harris is all over the place now, and a foul, and the open floor by Remy Martin. It's his first Pacific. This is Caleb Brown. He's Kobe's younger brother. They practically look like twins.
Well, they're brothers. I mean, there's going to be a similarity.
It is incredibly similar. Here's Brown. His brother's playing at Santa Clara now. They've gotten off to a good start. Lightfoot got good positioning. And they got Tootie. Stays with it. And Mitch Lightfoot's got 6. Pickett's aggressiveness results in an offensive foul. First on Missouri's leading scorer this afternoon.
Yeah, that's a tough call here. You know, the fact that he lowers his shoulder, you know, I'd love to see Remy Martin have to slide a little bit more to his left to take that. But the fact that Pickett lowered his shoulder, I think, is where that call comes from.
And an offensive foul on an illegal screen by Mitch Lightfoot. Usually when a coach asks why, the players don't have an answer.
You know, you talk to Coach Self. I think he sees the potential of this team. You know, there's some, you know, post-game where he'll say something, you'll look at the tape and say, I don't quite see it as that harshly. But, you know, you can just feel from him that he knows there's a ton of potential.
Caleb Brown with the charge, picked up by DeJuan Harris. You called him an unselfish defensive player. What does that mean?
I mean, he's willing to put his body on the line. He's an outstanding helper. You know, sometimes guys are afraid to come and help because they don't want to leave their guy. DeJuan Harris is constantly in help. He's constantly putting his body in the line of the ball. He's a good defensive rebounder. He knows what keeps him on the floor. It's not his offense.
He might be the only Columbia native to ever suit up for Kansas. Back in the early 90s, a guy by the name of Kevin Sprouse played junior varsity basketball here at KU when they had that program. And I talked with DeJuan after practice yesterday, and he said, you know, I was right down the road. Missouri never called. Kansas did, and I was thrilled. Lightfoot inside. He's got 8. Kansas shooting 54% this half.
Going Moses Malone, too. Missing his first one to build those rebounding numbers.
Yeah, pat him. Pat him if you can. Davis with the kick. Caleb Brown for 3. A sideline gets jammed. We got a wedgie.
It's one of the most embarrassing plays in basketball. And there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, it's bad fortune.
You
but
think that's worse than an air ball?
I think that's worse than an air ball.
I agree.
It's just ugly, you know?
I thought the rivalry didn't matter to the Kansas fans. We got a greeting for Mizzou. Shot clock off. 15 seconds left in the half. Where's KU go?
This is going to start with penetration.
Here's Brown. Touch out from Lightfoot. Abaji got it. And Kansas ends the half just as they started it. Ochai Abaji's got 13. Jayhawks on a 7-0 run. Brown and Harris have chipped in double-digit performances in the half. Kansas halfway to 100 nearly. 49-27 KU. Now to the studio. Kevin Connors, Seth Greenberg. Missouri ties. In fact, a couple of show me kids. Ochai Abaji with strong first half, 13 points. DeJuan Harris, also a Missouri kid, into double figures with 10. And as you well know, Christian Brown with Missouri ties got up to a great start in this one, and he's got 10 points on 4 of 7 shooting. All Jayhawks in the first half. And see if they can continue in the second. Courtside, Tom Hart alongside Chris Patola. The energy in this building has been amazing. It's almost like Missouri's emotions got the best of them early on.
Yeah, you know, I thought they did settle down. The problem, Tom, has been the turnovers. You cannot turn the basketball over to Kansas. They came into this game averaging 22 points a game off their opponent's turnovers. They've turned Missouri over 10 times. If you're going to hand Kansas the ball, they're going to kill you.
They are rocking once again. The teddy bear toss was at halftime. I'm really glad the pet rock fat is dead because that would have been rough. They went 3,577 days between games in this great rivalry. They'll play in Columbia next year. Great to see it back, but it hadn't been kind to Missouri through a half. Wilmore looking for a touch on the post. 7-3, jump hook with the left, and Remy Martin tracks it down. Here's Abaji again. Wow.
You have got to chase him off the line. You have got to make him dribble and drive it. He is too good a shooter, and that's where he gets his points.
And then a Missouri turnover.
This is his 4th 3 of the game. You've got to chase him off there if you're Deshaun Gordon. You cannot allow him to size you up with that dribble. You've got to make him go to the basket and rely on your help.
They go inside to him this time. Kobe Brown playing with 2 fouls from Missouri. And a rough first half, only a couple of points. And on McCormick. Back out to Harris. Como kid got another. Kansas has hit 8 threes in this one. DeJuan Harris made more threes, his high school coach told me, in the last 2 years at Kansas than he did his entire high school career. Good cut, and Abaji picks up the foul. Chance for a 3-point play for Deshaun Gordon.
Start this half, Missouri trying to play through Wilmore on the block. And I like the pass. I mean, he's going to have vision because he's got about 3 inches on McCormick. Really nice touch on the bounce there. Good cut by Gordon and a good finish.
Wilmore, the tallest in Mizzou. Tom Dorr played at 7'2" for some of Norm's great teams. A save, but right off of Wilmore's shin. Brown pushes and got a bump from behind. It's a 3rd on Jordan Wilmore.
It's a good foul, even though it's his 3rd. I mean, he wasn't going to play minutes. Wasn't necessarily a concern anyway, but it was a good foul because he was about to get dunked on as the lane opened up for Christian Brown.
Here's Remy Martin. He plays with confidence, doesn't he?
He sure does. He can really score. And that's why I think if you're Bill Self, those are the kinds of plays. Call his number, set play, get him a shot.
Gordon takes it high off the glass. And Abaji comes down with it. Remy Martin wants to push. KU trying to pound it inside again. They are just relentless. Ochai Abaji. And McCormick got ripped by DeGray. They'll count it. And a chance for 3.
David McCormick going outside his area. You know, when you're 6'10", 250 pounds, you're going to take up a lot of space just by being big. But if you play hard, you're going to start making plays outside your area.
The border rivalry is renewed in Kansas, dominating Missouri. Kansas has won 13 straight at Allen Fieldhouse against Missouri, and the fans showing their creativity and their energy for this. This is a game, no matter the score, Chris, I know you agree that's good for the game of college basketball.
It has to happen. I mean, the other thing is there's a lot of money to be made off of these teams playing. I mean, that exhibition they had a couple years ago raised, I think, almost $2 million.
Yeah.
You know, in a day and age in college athletics where it's more about matchups, specific teams playing one another, that type of programming, there's a lot to be done with these two teams playing year in and year out.
KU on a 19-2 run right now. I also feel that KU, as a blue blood, a caretaker of the sport, sometimes you do things that aren't in your best interest, that are in the best interest of the game. Second on McCormick.
Look, I understand why Bill Self was angry. all those years ago. I get it. But, you know, and he has said it in the lead up to this game. You know, time is probably the biggest thing that moved him off of his position. But, you know, I think they realized through that exhibition game that this thing still burns deep. And there is a lot of attention that could be paid to this.
He said after Missouri left in 2012, we have no obligation whatsoever to play them in basketball. If we do, it will only be done because it's best for Kansas, not because anybody else wants us to. We couldn't care less what Missouri wants. I ran into Larry Brown last week. I talked to him about this rivalry. He said, you know, my first Missouri-Kansas game, I'm in front of our bench, and Norm came storming down the sideline. Literally, that was his nickname. Came storming down the sideline, cussed me up and down. And I said, Norm, I have a right to be here. I'm in front of my own bench. He said, I didn't even understand the historical significance and the hate and the rivalry, but Norm Stewart taught me that really quick. McCormick inside, and Kobe Brown picks up his third.
And look at the joy from the head coach. He loves it. You know, the start to the year was disappointing. And Bill Self kept saying, look, I love David. I love him. He's going to figure this thing out, and he has been so good now 4 games running. He's just playing hard. You know, he's staying within himself. He's like Will Smith teaching Kevin James in the movie Hitch. Just stay inside your box, man. Catch it, go strong. If you don't have anything, throw it back out. Grab it. Possess the ball. Keep it in your box.
I didn't know we'd get a Hitch reference today. McCormick leading the Big 12, 18% offensive rebounds. So he hauls in. See where Missouri goes, and a 3 hoisted from the top of the key by Ronnie DeGray. Kobe Brown with the rebound and the left. Kobe's named after Kobe Bryant, Kobe's dad, who was his high school coach. Spent some time with Kobe's dad, Jelly Bean Bryant, when he was at LaSalle, recruiting one of Coach Brown's kids. And on the trip to Philadelphia, on that recruiting trip, they went to watch a high school game. And Jelly Bean Bryant said, yeah, my son's playing if you want to come. They're recruiting Ronnie Braxton out of Huntsville, Alabama at the time. He said, I had no idea who his son was. I didn't know he was very good. And sure enough, he goes out and dominates. And then after the game, he comes up to speak to us. He gets interrupted by another student who's speaking another language, and Kobe Bryant starts conversing with him in another language. And he said, this kid's special. And if I have a son, I'm naming him Kobe. He decided that day. And so Kobe Brown, not only the name and the number of the all-time great.
How many languages do you speak?
I speak Missouri sometimes. Other than that, it's 2. McCormick's got another one coming.
Sometimes you barely speak English.
Yes. The 62% from the free throw line on the season for McCormick. Jayhawks by 31. What impact does this score, and if the spread stays this way for the remainder of the game, what impact does it have on this Mizzou program and Conzo Martin?
Well, these ones are louder losses. Like if you have an apathetic fan base, which, I mean, I'm watching tape in the lead up to this game. There aren't many fans going to Missouri games. And that's fine. I mean, there may be some apathy, but a loss like this, you know, fan base is going to look at, and they're going to say, what's going on there?
Blocked by Brown. They go back to Pickett, and the pump fake clears him. 17 for Javon Pickett. Doesn't get any easier from Missouri, by the way. Another rivalry game coming up with Illinois after a date with Utah. Ochai Abaji's got 19 now. KU 10 of 17 from deep. And Missouri turns it over. Jayhawks rolling here on Lightfoot. And then Wilmore's shove to the face came after the whistle. That makes it a dead ball. Class A technical foul. Kansas can have anybody shoot the free throws. They're going to have Lightfoot do that. And then they'll get possession. And Wilmore picks up his 4th personal.
That's his 4th personal foul.
Academic at this point with a 72-39 lead.
Academic? Is that the strongest term you can use?
I think Kansas using some pretty strong terms today with his domination. Missouri hadn't scored in 2.5 minutes. Lightfoot was 1 of 2 when Jayhawks get possession. And so Wilmore played with some big guys in his high school and prep career. Played with against James Weissman growing up in high school in Memphis, and played with Hunter Dickinson. Teammate of that 7-footer. There was some question coming into this game, Chris, if the players had a good feel for what this rivalry is. Lightfoot with the travel. The Kansas program took it upon themselves with former players, the coaching staff, administrators, to show them videos of the rivalry, to show the hatred and the lust behind it. And former players in the building tonight certainly know what it's about. I don't know that Missouri had that same institutional knowledge.
Well, and not even all the former players who are here were a part of this rivalry.
Nice bucket by Ronnie DeGray, and had a chance for a 3-point play. Keith Langford, Sean Collins in the building. Tyshawn Taylor. It's a third on Lightfoot, and Ronnie DeGray will go to the free throw. There's Sharon.
Team foul number 5 on the Jayhawks.
So puts DeGray at the free throw line. He's from Parker, Colorado. His dad played with Chauncey Billups at Colorado. He's working as coaches together. And Missouri assistant Cornell Mann played his first year at Colorado back in the early 90s, where he befriended a pretty good running back at the time, a guy by the name of Eric Bieniemy. Colin plays for the Chiefs just down the road. They get the Raiders tomorrow. Got to know Bieniemy because he's cousins with Charles Johnson, then the Colorado quarterback who scored on the infamous 5th down play against Missouri. And any Tigers fans just watching just cursed at the mention of that play.
You said it with a smile on your face.
Some mask I'm wearing.
That's makeup.
It's true. Davis off the mark. Ishwan Gordon couldn't get it, and loose ball ends up with Kobe Brown. And then a shove on Lightfoot, and he's collecting them out. From Michigan. 2011 Heisman winner Robert Griffin III will announce the winner. Lightfoot picks up another, and the home crowd letting their opinion be heard. That's his 5th. And remember, the 3rd came on the altercation with Wilmore. Lightfoot has a great appreciation for this rivalry, but he won't be able to finish this game. And it puts Kobe Brown at the free throw line.
Loudest the crowd's been all day.
Yeah, I think crowds have been amazing in college basketball this season, and maybe it's relative to our experiences and the players' experiences that this wasn't possible last year.
No, this was special today. You know, Allen Fieldhouse gets loud. This is as loud as Allen Fieldhouse has been. And you go back to the start of this game in quite some time.
Yeah. Here's Brown, and threw one up to draw the foul on Pickett. And that's the 4th on Javon Pickett.
It's one area for Christian Brown. I think Bill Self wants to see more. Getting to the foul line. Brown took 10 free throws against St. John's. And that's where, you know, he's a capable driver. He's got good size, about 6'6", 220 pounds. And he's shooting it well enough that he's going to have guys flying at him. This is where those scoring numbers will jump even higher.
That was a 31-point game against St. John's. Another one coming his way. How do you see the Big 12 shaping out this year? Iowa State off to a tremendous start after just 2 wins last year.
I think it's the best conference in college basketball as you and I sit here today. And, you know, look, Texas is going to continue to get better.
They'll correct that call.
Texas Tech, you know, I think everybody thought they'd take a dip. Mark Adams been around a long time. Did very well in the transfer portal. Baylor, by the way, the defending national champs. Chance to be #1 in the country, depending on how that game tomorrow goes. I think right now the Big 12, the SEC is going to be good, and they're going to be right there. But I think as we sit here today, Big 12 is the best conference.
Martin foul. Iowa State demolished its rival. Took on Iowa. A big midweek win. They're 2-0 against top 25 teams. All these other teams you mentioned in the Big 12. Texas obviously hasn't hit its stride. Longhorns not fully healthy yet under Chris Beard. Kansas, great start, but still a long way to go to reach their potential. Do you get the feeling that Iowa State is for real, or is this just a really good start?
No, they're for real. Again, you know, they get a guy like Isaiah Brockington out of the transfer portal. Iowa State's his 3rd school, but he's having a breakout year. But the thing they're doing, Tom, and why I believe in them, is they are defending and rebounding better than they have in a long, long time. Certainly under Steve Prohm when he was there. That's a tough Iowa State team, and we haven't been able to say that in some time.
Well, Hilton was rocking a little Hilton magic. That win against the Hawkeyes. Kansas brings a double. Kobe Brown turns it over. Here's Jalen Coleman lands. Wow. The vision to find Abaji. Former Cyclone Coleman lands. Off the backboard, they'll count it for DeGray. Mentioned Missouri without its starting point guard, Boogie Coleman, for a couple of games, and Bobby Pettiford out for another 4 weeks or so for Kansas. Speaking of Bill Self at practice, he said when he's healthy, he's the best guard on the floor for us. That is quite a statement.
I mean, they're deep. They are really deep. We haven't even seen Yesufu today. We haven't seen Clements. You know, Coleman Lands hasn't played a lot of minutes. I mean, this Kansas team is loaded, and they are so explosive. We've seen the offense today.
Well, I have a feeling we'll see all those guys and more before the final 9 minutes elapses in this one. Loose ball taken away by Deshaun Gordon. He's got help, and he finds Pickett for the slam. Pickett a bucket away from his career high. Jalen Wilson short.
That's a shot where Remy Martin, he's got to take that at the foul line. He shoots at an unbelievable percentage from there. I think it's an overpass to kick that out to Wilson.
Kobe Brown gives it right back to DeGray, and he stepped on the sideline when he started his drive. Missouri just out of sorts. Kansas deserves a lot of credit for that.
They sure do. They've guarded the heck out of them, and it's a Missouri team whose offense is very much a work in progress coming in, but the turnovers have not helped. I mean, 17 turnovers on the road against a team that punishes you off of those turnovers, just not going to work.
Here's Joseph Yesufu. He'll run the point now for Kansas. Drake transfer. Self's looking for more from him. He said, I finally just told him, just go play. He's overthinking a lot of things as Jalen Wilson gets to the rim. Pickett couldn't get it to Brown. Here's Brazil. Brazil missed the first 8 games of the season for Missouri. Pickett has been aggressive. All right, if you're Missouri, what can you take away from this one? Positive. Not a trick question. Anything? Or is this just burn the tape?
No, I would never burn the tape. I'm actually anti. I think you learn a lot from any game. But look, playing in this environment is a big deal. It's a big deal. They're not going to find an environment like this all year. So that's the one thing you can take away.
Lesson learned. Going to Ring of Honor, nicest guy in the business. Let's take a look at who is made of more. Brought to you by Guinness, Ochai Agbaji, and Christian Brown doing what they do.
Yeah, they sure are. Those two guys together, what a tandem. By the way, congrats to LaFonso. Typical Notre Dame, though. They can't call it a Hall of Fame like the rest of the world. They have to call it a Ring of Honor. How pretentious.
Are you in any Rings of Honor or Halls of Fame?
I would never accept a Ring of Honor.
This game is not going in anybody's Ring of Honor. 83-47. They met every year for 105 years before Missouri left for the SEC. And now this one, all Kansas. Jalen Coleman lands. Started his career at Iowa State. 2015-2016. You know how long ago that was? Buddy Hield was playing college ball. Ben Simmons was the first overall pick. And Chris Beard was the head coach at Little Rock. Great Kansas defense. It's the 3rd shot clock violation they forced in this game. Talking with one of the Missouri assistants this afternoon, he said, you know what happens when you don't have a point guard? Everyone gets frustrated. You can't do what you want to do.
I agree with that. I also think that the point guard, to a degree, as you know, the shot clock has been lessened. The game of basketball has gone to getting the ball in your creators as soon as you can. That's why LeBron James is now the point guard, or James Harden.
Here's Zach Clements inside. Oh, we got our second wedgie. It must be the rim. Iron Eagles got the Chiefs tomorrow. He'd appreciate it.
Well, the first wedgie clearly created a much wider gap for the second wedgie.
Clements will go to the free throw line. It's the 4th on Kobe Brown in the end.
Now, getting fouled on the wedgie aesthetically is a lot better than shooting a 3 wedgie and nothing happening.
This is so true. Brown will take his seat. Yaya Keita replaces him. Bill Self's going to have a chance to empty his bench. We'll see a lot of red team action here late in the second half. Clements goes 1 of 2. Kansas 18 of 26 from the free throw line. Here's KJ Adams Jr. checking in. And Remy Martin gets a much-deserved break. You know, here's a guy I didn't know about this rivalry, right? He's an LA kid, Sierra Canyon, played at Arizona State. This is his first taste of it. You can tell, though, that he just loves playing in this building.
He wanted to come here out of high school. And Bill Self and the staff were recruiting Marvin Bagley, who was teammates with Remy at Sierra Canyon. And the way that Bill Self tells it, you know, he just didn't think Remy was a fit at the time, a little undersized. Of course, Remy ends up at Arizona State. And Arizona State, Remy's freshman year, came into this building and beat Kansas, put up 95 on them in that game.
That's a way to make an impression. 1,700 points in his career, 466 assists for Remy Martin.
Remember, Arizona State got up to, I think, #2 in the country after that Kansas win. And they did not stay there long.
Wilson off the mark. Out of Denton Guyer in Texas, Jalen Wilson originally committed to John Beeline of Michigan. Now he's found his home in Lawrence, and just one more piece of this Kansas weaponry. Anton Brookshire. And a follow from Sean Dura-Gordon is his first bucket.
Nice job by him, slithering in there for the finish. I mean, they've got some young pieces.
Yeah.
You know, Dura-Gordon's a redshirt freshman. We mentioned Brookshire, Brazil. I mean, they've got some young pieces.
Gordon's from Queens. He's the first Queens product to suit up for Mizzou since all-time leading scorer Derek Chivas. Big part of the Missouri-Kansas rivalry. KJ Adams inside. And a final tip from Jalen Wilson. It's a 40-point Kansas advantage. Gordon will go back to the free throw line after the foul from yesterday. Don't forget, we got Kentucky and Notre Dame coming up next.
Play with the Xavier Wheeler.
Yeah. Transfer from Georgia, where he set the Georgia school record for assists and one of the top assist men in the country. Value of a point guard, huh?
It sure is. Makes guys around him better. He's been great for Ty Washington.
Wilson down the lane. Rejected by Brazil. Missouri. Chance to run. Dura-Gordon on Clements. And gets it to go. Gordon wasting no time getting in the scorebook. What else have you learned about the SEC here early on?
You know, I think the ceiling is you know, incredibly high, and perhaps Kentucky is the live example of that. Why don't I answer on the other side? You asked me in a break zone, and I'm not going to be able to finish my answer, Tom.
By then, I will have shared the Wi-Fi with you. 90-54, Kansas with the lead. All right, fantastic, guys, and a fantastic atmosphere here at Allen Fieldhouse.
In a 46-point game.
Yeah, well, Wagon Wheel better ice them down because they got folks on the way. Zach Clements got another one coming his way. Before we were rudely interrupted by the commercial break, you were getting ready to give us your rundown of the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah, I think that conference has a high ceiling. You know, there's some teams like in Alabama trying to figure itself out. I saw them down in Orlando lose to Iona. You know, a team that defensively I thought had it last year. You lose a Herb Jones. They've been a little bit different. But you know that talent is there. They're long and athletic. Arkansas, tough loss today, but had been good, you know, up until this point. That Florida team I like the dynamic. Sometimes you have addition by subtraction. I think the dynamic this year for Mike White is better than he's had.
Alabama with that upset win against Gonzaga with 13 of 34 from 3. They got a big one tonight against Houston, and LSU in Atlanta to take on Michael DeVoe and Georgia Tech. DeVoe leading the nation 23 points a game. Open three, and you can't leave anybody open. Joseph Yesufu makes his first bucket. So Bill Self said he thinks a lot. He wants to make sure his feet are perfect. He's worried about the defensive end. I said, just go and play, man. We need buckets, and you can give us buckets. Bill Self getting plenty of people in as they near the century mark. Clements. Wow, that was athletic. Brazil with the foul.
Adams is a terrific athlete. And you don't need me to tell you. I mean, just look at the play there. The thing about him, he's got to build a basketball game around that physique. You know, there was a day, I mean, look at that young man. There was a day in time where you could walk into a gym, a practice, and immediately pick out the freshman. You know, they didn't have much definition. They looked a little lost. Yeah. They might have a mullet.
Speaking of.
Terrible mustache. But they, you know, but a guy now, I mean, this is a freshman, KJ Adams, who's just got to build a game around that body.
Chris Tian enters the game. It's Tian time early with entered with 3:12 to go. And the two things Kansas fans are watching for the last 3 minutes: how quickly can they get to the century mark, and can one of the guys that are walk-ons get a bucket? Here's Yesufu. Oh, left it short and went down hard. It was on the end line. Kansas wanted a foul and told Bill Self he didn't touch it.
I love the effort, but his teammates are going to be running this back a lot. But he saw the defender coming to his right, and he said, let me attack this rim. And just didn't quite have enough. Too much Sprite before the game.
By the way, if you're curious, the biggest win for Kansas in the history of this rivalry came in 1977. It was a 47-point win that night. Rims block Yesufu twice. Kentucky Notre Dame next. That one came down to the wire at Rupp last year. Brookshire with the ball fake and just rolled off. Here's Coleman, lands for three. Caleb Brown. Jayhawks on the floor in a blowout game, looking for that century mark. 10. Whoa! All KU now, as it's been since the tip. Brother Connor says, yeah, I could do that back in my day. It may be the loudest ovation of the afternoon.
What a moment. Put your team over the century mark in this rivalry game. What a moment, and a great moment for the mullet.
The mullet's coming back. Did I miss the memo?
I mean, what a find. And he stepped in like he owned it. And you're right, Tom. That was the loudest this building's been all day.
Two coming for Shontor Gordon. The lead is 40. Gordon the takeaway. And he slipped. Today's player of the game brought to you by Phillips 66. Ochai Agbaji, 21 points on 7 of 12 shooting. The threes were daggers.
Yeah, 21 points on 12 shots. This continues to be incredibly efficient.
Jankovic couldn't get it to go down. Brazil got it to roll home. The renewal of the rivalry was all Kansas. They'll meet again next year. The Jayhawks dominate Missouri 102-65.
What a performance by Kansas and by this fan base. What an atmosphere we had today for the renewal of this great rivalry.
Fantastic afternoon of college basketball continues next from South Bend. For Chris Patola, our fantastic crew, I'm Tom Hart. So long from Lawrence.